Hi, welcome to the conclusion of the Summer of Nickelodeon here at the Games of 90. I'm your host, Robert Seidelman. Now, we took a look at the 3 studio-based game shows that Nickelodeon had in 1990, but now let's talk about the 4th game show that Nickelodeon had on at the time that was so totally different from what anybody else has done in kids' game shows. It's now time to talk about Wild and Crazy Kids. Yes!
Welcome to Wild and Crazy Kids, the show that goes anywhere and does anything to find kids having fun. With your hosts, Jessica Gaines, Omar Gooding, and Donnie Jeffco.
I really don't need to explain anything about the show since the hosts do it in the opening sequence. Kids of the early 90s play wild and crazy games for fun and no prizes because the kids' reward was doing something amazing that they never thought they'd get to do in everyday life. Sure, there are some games on the show that were based on everyday life, but they made them fun and worthwhile to do. It's truly one of the high moments in Nick's early 90s peak. And to be honest, I am really happy that they decided to go to what you saw in the opening than what they had in the 1989 pilot, because it really goes to show you that with some flash and some better music and some, emotion, that it really helps make a great experience.
Welcome to Wild and Crazy Kids with your hosts, Matt Brown, Leslie Hibbert, and Corey Tyler.
Now, the hosting was done by Matt Brown of Don't Just Sit There, Corey Tyler of Moonwalker, aka that god-awful Michael Jackson movie, and Leslie Hibbert from, this pilot. The format of the pilot and the actual show are the same, so I'm not going to get too much into that. Each game being played was meant to not only be visually interesting, but fun to watch and to partake in as well. There is a maze race, a destruction derby of a house where kids from karate classes were tearing it down with kicks and punches and all that fun stuff, and a bikes versus horses race. I guess it's my judgment and blindness from seeing almost every episode of the original show before seeing this pilot, but these games just kind of felt flat compared to what we got on TV. The horse versus bike competition was cool, but could have been a bit better. What really bugged me was the hosting. Granted, this isn't Omar, Donnie, Jessica, or even Annette, but the hosting just felt so lifeless. They all just felt so lost while doing this. Granted, this was something much different from what Corey and Matt did before and something entirely new for Leslie, but it just felt so dull and don't find any excitement. It kind of reminds me of something along the lines of Todd Christensen hosting American Gladiators before Larry Zonka took over. While the ideas were there, the execution was lacking. The music was meh, the hosts were even meh-er, and the meh-ist thing of all was that it just felt like a bad edition of America's Funniest Home Videos. So now we get to the show itself, and all the problems that are present in the pilot are now fixed. Good music? Hosts that have some personality.
Okay, Donnie, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Gutter ball.
We better make sure we get all the bugs worked out for the competition.
Absolutely.
Check. Stuff that is at least funny when it comes to the games.
All right, you almost got it. It's rolling. It's almost.
Okay, it's hit and miss, much like a good episode of America's Funniest Home Videos, but at least it was ready to air, and I'm glad it did. This shows the embodiment of the word fun. The kids that were playing the games in various parks and shopping malls and baseball fields were having fun, and those who wish they could be there playing the games were having a blast watching them on TV. I'm also glad that you got hosts who looked and sounded enthused to host and talk about the silly stunts that are being presented en masse. Well, most of them. I don't know what it is, but I don't get the same zeal of fun from Annette that Omar, Donnie, and Jessica had during their run. I guess her role on the show was more of the matron type, which kind of strikes me as odd, but somewhat grateful for it because it was a great counterbalance to Omar's wackiness and Donnie's jocularity. Now we get to the games themselves. I'm not going to talk about a lot of the games because there's only so much I could squeeze into X amount of time. But my favorite games that you got to see were the ones based on baseball. And trust me, from looking at the episodes, you could tell that the producers loved baseball. It always seemed to me that the creators of the show were big fans of the sport, and the multitude of games that were birthed because of it were always a blast to watch. One of them was Guac Ball, where the kids played a game of softball, but instead of cleats, they wore moon shoes and had to hop or run to the bases. And instead of a softball, they used, well, a Guac Ball. That's way down on one side, so it goes in many fun directions. Aside from that, it was baseball with 3 innings and all. It was fun to see, and what a great twist it was on a game, and it's one of my favorite games on the show. The best one using baseball as its inspiration, and my personal favorite, was the one that was beloved by those who watched the show in Dizzy Bat Baseball. This game featured 9 Little League All-Stars going up against a team of 8 coaches and parents. The kids had the ball thrown to them in the hopes to hit a home run by a pitcher of known fame. I don't say famous pitcher because in the second edition of the game, Double Dare host Mark Summers pitched to the kids. The kids each had 1 shot to whack the ball out of the park, with 3 kids going each inning. When it was the adults' turn to go to bat, they had to make themselves dizzy by spinning around a bat 7 times with their heads on the butt end of the bat. If the ref sees them not doing it properly, they'll have to do more spins. After spinning 7 times, they go to a T-ball stand, put a ball on the stand, and get 1 swing in the hope of getting it over the fence. And I'm talking about the ball and not the stand. Most runs after 3 innings wins. Honestly, this is one of my favorites in the entire series, not just because it was fun to see, but it was executed perfectly. But back to the subject of Mark Summers now. One of the episodes had what would be considered an early 90s dream match between Double Dare and Wild and Crazy Kids, where Mark would take on Wild and Crazy Kids in 3 events, and whoever won best 2 out of 3 wins. And that episode was glorious. In that episode, Mark and his teams took part in 3 different events, which each one going up against one of the hosts at that time being Annette, Omar, and Donnie. Annette got to do the go-kart time trial race where her team of kids went up against Mark's team of school bus drivers, Donnie doing a gigantic slip and slide relay race on big ice blocks, and Omar with human slingshot, with him and Mark being walking targets for their team to earn big points. I'm not going to spoil the results of the episode here, but you have to listen to some of the banter between Mark and Donnie during the slip and slide race.
The way Jeff came from nowhere there, Donnie. All right, Steve, keep it going. We got a great lead here. Come on, Steve, get on that ice. What are you doing?
Don't slip, come on.
Here's your team trying to cheat against you. See that? I'm going to show you how to do it. Take a look here. Steve.
Oh, no, she fell again.
It's not good. Come on, Steve.
Okay, come on, Sharon.
All right, Sonia. Sonia's kind of dragging here a bit. We have such a big lead, though, it doesn't make any difference at this point, I think.
There were many special episodes that the show did, including their annual Raging Waters show, where a bunch of young celebs would get together and raise awareness and donations for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation and to help fund research for it. But the biggest moment in the show's history was when Arnold Schwarzenegger put on the trademark shirt and promoted the games throughout the episode while the gang visited the Great American Workout at Washington, D.C. in 1991. Here are some of the money moments involving the gang and Arnold.
Have you ever been a human pinata?
Or dump baked beans on someone's head?
Hit yourself in the face with a pie?
No, but I have lifted Volkswagens. I've lifted tanks. I can even lift the Capitol. I've broken big cement blocks. I've done all kinds of... Do you want me to show it you?
No, I never accept anything without trying it on right away, okay? So let's try it on right away to see if it fits. Then we know right away.
Thank you very much, guys, and I'm gonna go for another 5,000 miles of running. Okay.
There were lots of games and moments, but you can't really squeeze it all into one video, so this may have to be revisited later on. In conclusion to everything, the show succeeded in what it was setting out to do. To go anywhere and do anything to find kids having fun. This show was a big pile of unadulterated fun. Everything from the whimsical games to the celebrities and everything in between. kids were just having fun, and the kids at home were having fun with this too. The show would unfortunately be canceled in 1992, but would be reran like mad throughout the next 15 years on both Nickelodeon and on Nick Gas before the network went to absolute hell. And yes, I know there was a revival hosted by Maddie Moralejo in 2002 that only lasted for 10 episodes, but I'm going to have to focus on that one in another video. I mean, there is so much going on with Wild and Crazy Kids that you really can't get it all in one video. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Games of 90, and I hope you tune in for the next 5 episodes, because there's something special going on. In September of 1995, game shows premiered in syndication, and for the next 5 months we are doing every single one. Now, this coming one in October is a bit of controversy between the fandom, because some think it's great, some think it's good, but other one thinks it's downright awful. So join us back here next time when we talk the Joker's Wild 90. Until next time, I'm Robert Seidelman. Goodbye, everyone.